the backbone of the franchise.
I might talk the deals, he closes deals.
Andy's a genius.
It's been 35 years. I did a double take.
He shares behind-the-scenes stories.
The rivalry was Shakespearean.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I remembered thinking, there's no way that they're trading Shaq.
He started from the bottom.
What were the biggest challenges when we began as a franchise?
The Miami Heat won their first game ever.
We were the sort of little engine that could.
And drove the Heat train to the top.
The Heat have won it! We're NBA champions!
It was the first time for me with the Larry O'Brien trophy.
We started at nothing, and here we are on top of the mountain.
His commitment is endless.
I have been to just about every home game in the franchise's history.
Andy's married to his job.
I've been very, very lucky because I've been able to do something that I love.
Inside the Heat, Andy Elisburg. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Inside the Heat. I'm Eric Reed. 35 years ago, the Miami Heat entered the NBA as an expansion team. 7 Heat originals, including yours truly, helped lift this organization off the ground and are still proud to be a part of that today. One of those originals started out as an intern. He has since risen to general manager and senior vice president of basketball operations. To celebrate the Heat's 35th anniversary, you will hear about it all through the lens of none other than Andy Elisburg. Andy Elisburg, talk about the journey that brought you to the Miami Heat.
I wanted to be a photographer, which lasted until my first photography course in 11th grade. And today is one of the few courses I ever actually failed because I never actually turned in an entire photo the entire semester.
He was taking photography, not taking pictures. He was reading the sports pages. And that's when he had an epiphany. He went to the guidance office, found a catalog, and saw that there was a major called Sports Administration.
St. Thomas University in Miami. I went there, and I got an internship between my junior and senior year with the Washington Bullets. One of the people I worked with at the Bullets, Mark Prey, came down to join the Miami Heat September of 1988. He said, can you come in and help volunteer some time? So, interned through my senior year, and I like to say, I graduated on Monday and started full-time Wednesday morning, so I've been unemployed for 36 hours.
It's opening night. You can indeed feel some excitement.
It's the culmination of one quest, and that is to bring NBA basketball to Miami.
He helped in every way. He helped with game notes, anything that had to do with the media relations department.
You want me to go get dinner and bring it in, you need copies of something.
There was only about 20 or so full-time people. So even though technically I was in PR, he was really doing a little bit of everything.
Andy said to me, you know, Mom, I'm looking at this as my career, not a job.
Our instincts were, you had a good thing going here, figure out how to keep it going.
And Andy did just that.
They used to send the salary books. And about a year or two in, they bring this big computer that they send in from the NBA. It was very intimidating for many of the staff that was not used to being on computers. This was in the early 90s. I was sort of comfortable with them. They did what they usually do with things that they didn't know what to do with. Andy, you go figure it out. And then about a year in, they started putting the salary information on.
On his own, he learned salary cap information. And that ended up being, frankly, what promoted him up the ladder.
Miami Heat win. The Miami Heat have won their first game ever.
I just can't describe how I feel. It's wonderful.
Turn around, Scotty. That little flame in the back, okay? That's what we're all about.
Ron Rothstein and Tony Fiorentino are 2 of the 7 Heat originals who still work for the organization and have been here since day one.
What were like the biggest challenges I think you faced when we sort of began as a franchise?
No one said it was going to be easy. And there'll be some very, very long nights.
Becoming a head coach of an expansion team is like new head coach on steroids.
Right.
You have no idea what to expect.
6 rookies on the team, starting from scratch, and trying to teach them how to be pros as well as trying to develop them into NBA players. So that was the challenge right from the beginning. And you could see why Ronnie doesn't have any hair anymore.
While the team learned the ways of the NBA, good fortune came in the 1989 NBA draft.
Did you ever tell the story about extra rice?
Going into our second NBA draft, we were hoping to get Glenn Rice. It's been established that I'm a superstitious person, but I'm surrounded by many other superstitious people. And so for luck, we went to get Chinese food and ordered extra rice. So we could have increased the opportunity that we could get Glenn Rice.
The Miami Heat selects Glenn Rice from the University of Michigan.
Glenn fell to fourth. So began tradition the night before the draft every year, we have Chinese food. And several years ago, they tried to change it. And I was like, no. You can order whatever else you're wanting, but we are ordering Chinese food the night before the draft.
Good call.
Being on the Miami Heat team, there could be a lot of great things accomplished.
There's 1 second. Here's Rice, a jumper. He made it. Miami wins the game.
Andy, a couple of early mile markers for the Miami Heat. It was the 4th season in franchise history. First year that Kevin Lockley was the head coach. First time the Heat go to the NBA playoffs. Got swept out by Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
A couple of years later against Atlanta, got our first playoff victory.
The biggest win in the history of the franchise.
The idea was to put together this young team and watch them grow together. And here we were, the first of the 4 expansion teams to make the playoffs. We were the sort of little engine that could, and for our fans and for our team, and getting a win and being able to see what a win, you know, the joy of a win, you start to really believe of what this team can turn into.
Welcome back to Inside the Heat. Tough beginnings humbled the Miami Heat as they looked to build on the court while continuing to grow as an NBA franchise. Now, the team reached the playoffs for the very first time in 1992, got its first playoff victory 2 years later. But it was in September of 1995 that everything changed.
It's my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce you to the new president and head coach of the Miami Heat, Pat Riley. Pat.
Pat Riley comes in September, and the world, as they say, changes. They called us into the conference room at the arena. It was like 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and they said, okay, Pat's coming in. He's going to be president and head coach. We're going to have a press conference tomorrow. And you looked around the room, and it was like the dog that caught the car. It's like, now what?
We didn't really know what to expect, except that you knew everything was changing.
I've always been part of organizations that have had people committed to creating and being part of an environment where everybody could flourish.
We have the press conference on Saturday, and Sunday morning, I'm in the office, and Dave calls me down and says, hey, I need you to come upstairs and explain the salary cap to Pat Riley. And I grabbed my materials and walked upstairs and said, this is one of those ones you better not mess up.
When Pat Riley was coming, Andy went out and bought Pat Riley's book so he could understand Pat's philosophy.
I knew that he had people like Pat Riley around who had a lot to say.
He has been not only just an incredible voice of reason for me, he has been an incredible resource of knowledge, but more importantly, Andy and I have become friends.
The first big move that Pat made when he got here, the trade for Alonzo Mourning, and then soon after, Tim Hardaway. What do you remember as Pat Riley came in and started to bring in all this talent?
It becomes very, very clear that we are looking to be a different team in the NBA.
Oh, what a pass! What a dunk! What a play!
Now we have the inside-outside game in Alonzo, and then a player who can lead the team the way that Tim Hardaway can. And now we have a chance not just to win playoff games, but to win playoff series.
Let's get ready to rumble!
There's sort of a historic romance about those late teams of the 90s, Andy. What do you remember about that era and what at that time was the best rivalry in the NBA, Miami and New York?
The rivalry was Shakespearean in its levels. You couldn't write it. It was on such a level of the different things that went on and the battles.
So, oh no, a three for Zoe. Oh, he hit it! He hit it!
Houston ducks under. Got it!
You learned some very painful lessons there in that period of time. But I think when you also step back, that team set the tone for Miami Heat basketball for 25 years. Heat culture, what we are, what we mean, we're defined. That team is as much a part of our championships as any team we've ever had.
Out with the old and in with the new. This will soon be one of the hottest spots in all of South Florida.
I remember when the discussion came about coming to an arena.
We needed this new arena and all the ancillary revenues that it brought to us in order to compete.
And I think there's something about being on the water. It's really one of the unique relationships between an arena to a city and a community.
That relationship to the city of Miami would only build. The new arena was host to many incredible moments in the 2000s and would soon have an NBA Finals in their house. But all of that required Andy's impact by drafting Dwayne Wade and trading for Shaquille O'Neal.
Dwayne was really a late riser. It also has demonstrated why, you kind of look at these things with rose-colored glasses. He had one of the most average workouts we ever had. Because the things that make Dwayne great, you don't necessarily see, particularly at that time, in a one-on-one workout. I remember then going to Summer League and watching, first time I really saw Dwayne in person do some things, and the first time he made that sort of stutter step and move another way, you just went, whoa, this is a different game of basketball.
Look out below! Here's Wade! You gotta love that stuff! South Florida enjoy a superstar rise from the ground floor up.
Shaq, I'll never forget, they had lost in the finals, and there's some talk about, they're gonna move Shaq, and they have interest in us. And I remember doing this thinking, this isn't happening. There's no way that they're trading Shaq. And then, we're sitting in the hotel room and we come to an agreement. Shaq comes in and we have this press conference, and he comes in on a diesel, and suddenly you see all these people in front of the arena. You realize it becomes a different game, and then obviously, it led to our first championship.
Remember this, 'cause I'm gonna bring a championship to Miami, I promise.
Welcome back to Inside the Heat. In 2005, the Miami Heat, led by Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal, took the Detroit Pistons to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. That offseason, Andy Elisburg helped orchestrate a 5-team, 13-player trade, the biggest in NBA history. And with a strengthened roster, it was clear something special was brewing.
For the first time in franchise history, the Miami Heat are going to the NBA Finals. Payton on the drive, high off the glass. Gary Payton banks it in. Miami wins again. They'll go to Texas with Miami up 3-2.
A long shot, rimmed out. Wade has got it. Wade will hold on. Miami has won. Miami is NBA champs. The Heat have won it. We're NBA champions.
When you think about the 18 years and so many times when you don't win, you really appreciate how many moments that is just, it's a rebound here. It's a play there. It's a moment here that is a difference between winning and losing.
I still have in my memory Dwayne Wade, grabbing the rebound, throwing it up in the air.
I remember the moment when we won and just taking a moment in the stands. And then I can remember distinctly taking in all the years. Like, man, we started at scratch. We started at nothing. And here we are on top of the mountain.
For the first time in franchise history, the promises have been kept.
What do you remember about that night, how it felt to win that first title?
For me, it was very, very surreal in terms of running around. And I got back to the celebration in the back very late. I'd come into the back end of the locker room and sort of come or circle around the side. And then I'll hear and never forget Jay Will's immortal words. He's dry, get him. And that, got hit with the champagne, and I just let loose. After that, I went to a small corner and it was the first time for me with the Larry O'Brien trophy. I would not touch it before, and it was the first time I touched it, was when we won. But as much as it's for me, it's really for everybody. It's the shared thing for all of us. We've arrived.
Let's transition to a different era. Pat Riley is now done with coaching, names a young Eric Spoelstra to be the head coach. You and Pat were clearing cap space and looking ahead to this certain summer of 2010.
2010 started in 2006, right after we won the championship. We gave Dwayne Wade his first big contract.
He, LeBron, and Chris Bosh are all doing this shorter contract, and they're going to be free agents this summer, the summer of 2010.
The Heat is looking to strike gold in free agency.
We had this pipe dream. Hey, we're going to get him.
You felt relatively comfortable where things were with Dwayne. And then we have the meeting with LeBron. I almost remember that there was a degree of comfort that you felt within it. You felt very good coming out of that meeting.
The meetings are done. Now it's up to Dwayne Wade and the rest of the NBA's free agent royalty to determine where their future lies.
Dwayne and Chris, Dwayne, we'll start with you. Where are you going to be playing next season?
I'm back in Wade County.
Yeah, I'm joining Mr. Wade in Miami.
LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
Andy's a genius. He was so instrumental in putting together the numbers and everything to be able to make the Big Three work.
We're going to make the world know that the Heat is back.
The 4 years of the Big Three, the Heatles, were unlike anything we've ever experienced before or probably ever experience again.
LeBron and Wade. Look out! D-Wade finishing.
Wade kicks it out the box, throws it down, and foul.
The Big Three Heat team made franchise history, bringing home an NBA championship in 2012.
Let the coronation begin. There'll be another parade down beautiful Biscayne Boulevard. It's over. The Heat are champs here in 2012.
This is what you thought it was going to be. All Heat fans around the world to enjoy.
And again in 2013.
The Heat are going to do it. The Heat are going to win it. 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. It is over.
And the Miami Heat are going to be back-to-back champions of the basketball world.
Watching them be able to win and the validation to a degree of the Big Three coming together, that's the beauty of sport. Competitors competing against each other, and the wins and the losses. Because you don't appreciate the wins without the losses. Not having your heart broken, you don't really appreciate the joy of those moments.
This never gets old, man. This is right here. This is joyful.
Welcome back to Inside the Heat. After years of building a championship culture, the Miami Heat achieved the ultimate prize not once, but 3 times. And while players come and go and new eras of Heat basketball arise, Andy Elisburg remains at the center of it all.
Pat Riley has his man. Miami Heat making a trade for 4-time All-Star Jimmy Butler.
To set the stage at the beginning of the year was to be able to get Jimmy Butler. That was not an easy transaction to come through.
Andy deserves as much credit as I do. I might talk the deals, he closes deals.
Jimmy Butler. That's a nice way to begin your Miami Heat career.
And then we're having this really great season. I think enjoying where the team is playing through, and then suddenly the world stops.
We literally just found out the news. Our locker room is still stunned.
Talk about that whole bubble experience and making it to the NBA Finals in 2020.
I'll never forget a conversation I had with Spo. I said, I know this feels like we're making this up as we go along. It's just because we're making this up as we go along. And the bubble was an interesting experience. They were able to create a safe space that the games were able to be played through without dealing with COVID.
In quest of a championship, welcome everyone to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. It's the Miami Heat taking on the Boston Celtics.
The Bam block.
Working against Butler, got downhill, couldn't punch it. Bam says, get it out of here.
The thing I remember in that series is you were watching the blossoming of a star. Bam was very good. And then you watched in that moment Bam become an all-star. And then obviously we wind up against the Lakers and our old family friend LeBron. And obviously you're on the losing end of it again, which is never fun. But you're part of an NBA family. You're watching them be able to celebrate those moments and be part of history.
And when it comes to his current Heat family looking to make more history, Andy is a constant presence on game days.
So it's about 11:30 before our 3:30 game today. First thing will be checking with our trainers and making sure who's available to play the game today. I have been to just about every home game in the franchise's history. I probably have missed about half a dozen games. You gotta sort of check and make sure you're still actually employed. So, whether or not my finger works is usually good indication whether things are good. It's still a good day. My office space has significantly grown, starting with the fact that, first of all, I have an office. So when I started the Heat, I didn't have a desk. And then about 15 years ago, I was able to get an office with a view.
As the current GM, Andy takes great pride in being locked in for every home game.
Herro steps into a three. Kaboom!
Being able to get the moment to being here and being in an arena and surrounded by fans and watching the excitement and the energy is what you always love about a team.
And this one belongs to the Heat.
Andy, your commitment to this franchise is legendary, and this success story that you have written and authored, how does it feel to you as you look at your 35 years with the Heat?
You spend a lot of your life working, and you try to work at something you love. And I've been very, very lucky because I've been able to do something that I love. You know, you have the family you're born into, and then you have the family that you choose.
I couldn't be happier for a more good guy. The thing is, he's so loyal to this organization, but also to anybody he's ever known before.
He's inspiring to all of us.
Andy's married to his job. He loves what he's doing. As parents, we pinch ourselves.
You have to understand that Andy was always in our minds a success experience.
Just a remarkable individual, and it's been a pleasure for 27 years, working with him, and I would not be where I am today, or I don't think the organization would be where we are today. He's just been an incredible asset.
When they said at the beginning of the year that it was 35 years, it was like I did a double take that it's been 35 years. This is the first line of my obituary. This is what I've been able to do, and this is something that, became my passion. I'm the lucky one.
Andy Elisburg is the epitome of a Heat lifer, from his days as an intern doing anything asked of him to handling trades and acquisitions and becoming one of the NBA's premier salary cap experts. His constant presence throughout the last 35 years has been critical to the Heat's success. If Pat Riley is the visionary, then Andy Elisburg is the man who makes the dream a possibility. And thank you so much for enjoying this episode of Inside the Heat. I'm Eric Reed.